the best of both worlds. Like the women's division is on its own and awesome.
Yep.
Nikki Bella can be the only diva, which is great. You only want one storyline where there's one diva, right?
I think we talked about this in the women's episode that they were going to rebrand Total Divas if they were going to get away.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to get away from this, and this is how they're doing it.
And it's smart.
It's smart. So I don't know. I guess that can count as like the deepest banter we've had before a show ever. But it is Friday, September 2nd, 2016, and you are listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. Whoops, slide back over here. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Ray.
So we're three friends who used to work together, and we enjoy pro wrestling. We have this podcast. It gives us a space to shoot on all the aspects of our favorite pastime without the confused looks we get from everyone else around us listening in.
Yeah.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. This podcast is all about giving you consistent, bite-sized commentary on the world of wrestling, focused primarily on WWE's main roster and NXT, though we occasionally touch on indies and the international scene.
Every week, we'll either recap the previous week's WWE TV stuff, network specials, whatever, roundtable discussions, whatever we feel like. But this week, we're very excited to finally talk about the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Part 2.
Part 2? We didn't have enough time to, smash it all together with SummerSlam.
As much as SummerSlam was very, meh.
Yeah.
There was no way we were going to cover all of the awesomeness.
Yeah, we would have to get rid of stuff to talk about, get rid of some NXT stuff to talk about SummerSlam. That seems wrong.
These double dip weekends are really hard to cover for us, right? We had the same problem with WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear now that this is a second year in a row.
3 weeks of WrestleMania coverage.
Yeah, the second year in a row that they're really leaning into SummerSlam as the WrestleMania of the summer. It's the
4 hours.
Second longest pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And
a lot.
And it also is bundled with a takeover. So.
But it was crazy because Ray and I were talking before the recording, and we have a script and we highlight the particular things we really want to talk about in case we get strapped for time. We can cut things.
Yeah.
And I keep telling him, we need to talk about this. And he's like, well, I kind of really want to talk about this. And it's like, we have to talk about Bobby Roode's entrance. There's too much to talk about.
Yeah. There's too much good stuff on NXT Brooklyn to, smash it in with something that we don't feel passionate about. SummerSlam was good. It was a good pay-per-view. It wasn't the best, and it's also just long.
Yeah. So now we can spend, a whole episode talking about pretty much all of it, which is good.
Yeah.
All right, so the show opens with No Way Jose.
Oh, yeah.
And a conga line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus Austin Aries.
Yeah.
And
conga line's ridiculous.
Yes. I'm really worried about Austin Aries because I feel like he is excellent.
Yes.
But he came in at the wrong time.
Yeah.
He was
really bad timing.
And I've made this joke before, but you have Bobby Roode's entrance music is glorious, talking about how you're absolutely glorious. Austin Aries' character is, I'm the best there ever was. And it's actually you're not. You're on the same show as Nakamura and Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode and literally all these other great guys.
The worst timing you could make, as far as, entering into this new, NXT, you came in right before Nakamura.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing that could have happened. You're going to get completely overshadowed.
So on that technical wrestler, on the best side, you kind of lose there. Then on the spectacle, arrogant side, you get schooled by Bobby Roode. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of second best at both.
Yeah. That sucks.
It's you're trying to get a promotion, going to NXT from TNA, and the guy that was totally, had the job over you just comes back and keeps killing it.
Yeah, that sucks.
So I agree, in being sort of worried for him, though, the end of the match, and what played out there with the Tommy gives a nice future angle at least for him.
Yeah.
But the match itself, pretty freaking good.
Oh yeah. Dude. No Jose, man,
he's good. He's solid.
Yeah, for somebody that hasn't had a long career yet, he's pretty young and
he's only been on TV the last couple months.
Yeah, and he's straight from the Performance Center. He's not new. He's not an indie guy.
No, this is a homegrown.
Homegrown, and he's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's a thing we find ourselves saying a lot with the NXT stuff is it was sort of standard great. We expect greatness from them, and it generally fulfills it. I don't know. I enjoyed the match. It was awesome.
So Hideo Itami comes out at the end of the match.
Yeah, the end of the match.
Which
was
that
super
fucker looks sharp in his suit, by the way.
He looks fucking awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Does the GTS.
Yes!
And he mouths the words, "It was my move."
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, go watch it.
That.
Yeah, watch it. It's that was my move, and I love that he'll.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old is Tommy?
He's on the older side, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
the running knee and the GTS, those are his.
They've always been his.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really
was
awesome.
pretty rad, and hearing the freak out by Phillips, like describing it was pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, it was great. But he ruptured Austin Aries' eardrum, like, in that move.
Wow.
So again,
So our injury count is now
did?
3?
yeah, he's fine. He's not out or anything, but like, yeah, you know.
Oh, I thought you were just sort of like having a play on words
Commentary.
to his reception.
Yeah,
Like he ruptured it because they cheered for him so much.
I'm not that clever.
No, injury count is now 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he'll be back. He's fine. But that sucked.
That really sucks. Okay, so the following match was Billie Kay versus Ember Moon, and this is where Ember Moon debuts.
Yes.
So
They've been building her up for.
they've been building her up. I hadn't been following like who it was going to be, but I figured it was going to be someone from the Indies. I was really worried going into this because the women's division at NXT right now, after having moved up everyone from their mid card,
It's terrible.
Is terrible. Plus Asuka and Bayley.
Yeah.
And now Bayley's up on Raw, so really you have Asuka, and literally no one can compete with her.
Yeah.
And they're booking Billie Kay, and I'm sorry, Billie Kay is easily mid card and only wrestles as good as her opponent.
She's
Yeah.
not ready.
She's not ready, and I'm like,
I-
how?
Not ready, but I feel like she could take up the mantle that they wanted for Eva Marie in terms of like that kind of like, oh, I'm a pretty person type thing.
I'm a pretty
But
person,
she
I'm
needs
kind
a
of
lot more work.
egotistical.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
does.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's just more of a like in terms of match quality. Like,
Yeah, it just leads to not the greatest matches. But
Yeah.
like, she needs
I also
time.
hate her ring gear. I like the cloak thing she comes out with.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the way it's cut. It kind of
Yeah.
flows a little bit better. It doesn't get caught anywhere. But the crushed velvet like bodysuit
Yeah.
is
little
just
weird.
like it's gross. Anyway, Ember Moon comes out.
Yeah.
Her gear looks great. She's got the red contact lenses in. I'm like, this could be awesome because she's built in a way that looks very strong.
And we're all like competing here to mark out over the finisher. So
Oh my god, okay. So I don't think anyone's gonna mark out over it more than Stone Cold, because
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I rewatched it like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like in the moment I just hit that like 10-second back feature they have
Yeah.
on the network thing. It was just
Yeah,
like, let me see that again.
It
Oh my
fucking
God, oh my
happened,
God,
and I'm
oh
like,
my
wait,
God.
what? Like what?
So
what?
yeah, that match ended, and I'm like, oh, get this woman against Asuka's stat.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
That is the thing that made me most happy about this, is it gave me confidence that if Bayley was going to lose and go up to the main roster, Asuka now has someone she can actually compete with. Because otherwise,
Super
Asuka's just
great.
going to hold the belt for years.
Yeah.
And the other great thing about like in Asuka, her rivalry and matchup, and just like sort of pulling it apart is like, man, what great like sort of continued non-traditional WWE women's wrestling like makeup that they both have, right? Like it's not just like, oh, here's your like tall woman with like hair extensions and gigantic fake boobs. Like it is like fucking Ember Moon looks like a force to be reckoned with, and Asuka is like a hurt machine.
She looks like
and it's
a Mortal
great.
Kombat werewolf.
Oh my god, I can't like.
It's a cool look.
It's a cool look.
Now they gotta just make that happen, because
here's-
like I'm already super excited for it, and we don't know what's
I
happening.
will
right?
say I am a little worried as far as gimmick wise. This is gonna sound really weird, but it is a little bit close to Asuka. So like Asuka's character, if you were to boil it down into 2 words, no, just follow me here.
Ray's already reacting to our shifting eyes. Just Brittany and I
Yeah.
look at each other.
Asuka's gimmick is essentially mysterious warrior. Like it's basically like you as a wrestling character, you either go for aspirational or relatable. You know, and so this Asuka is just bigger than life, fucking crazy warrior that you kind of can't relate to because she's just like so fucking awesome.
The Empress of Tomorrow.
Yes.
Sure.
None of us are empresses.
Of
It's her.
any tomorrow, yesterday,
any time period.
yeah.
None.
And then you have this again very aspirational character. It's kind of like the Hogan Warrior
Yeah, I was
thing.
gonna say to you, I counter that with NXT. Usually, traditionally, has done a good job of just letting the feuds happen, even if they don't like yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
Like those, you know, and that does go back. If the WWE does it way less, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to all right, Mega Powers colliding or Warrior Hogan, like.
Yeah.
But you could count on like one hand over the last 30 years when they've done it, because they like their clear divisions, whereas
Yeah.
NXT is way more common, right?
They have their very clear gimmicks too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we frequently say, like, oh well, Dolph Ziggler's just Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Like Dean Ambrose is Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Like you start to see the similarities between everyone. Like
So that matchup could only really happen at NXT. This
Yeah.
one, and
But
that's
that goes into the same concern I have with like Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. You know what I mean? Like Bobby Roode does this shit super well. Austin Aries doesn't. It's not saying that Austin Aries doesn't do it well, but when you put him in the same ring, that's a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, they'll try to one up each other, and that's the storyline.
I would love that.
No,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
it definitely wouldn't happen on Raw. Brittany, any other comments about Ember Moon in the future?
I love her. I'm immediately on board. I immediately went online and watched a bunch of her indie shit.
Yeah, as Athena.
Yeah, and she's been doing the diving corkscrew stunner for a long time.
Yeah, it's called the O face.
Yeah, the O face.
Yeah,
fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah,
I love it. It's. I'm very excited she's on the roster. I was really concerned that I'd have to be watching matches with Billie Kay and. What's her name? The Jersey girl?
Jersey girl. Just call her Jersey girl.
Whatever the fuck. We have enough people from Jersey. We don't need another goddamn Jersey gimmick.
Yeah.
And you're not that good. You look like you're moving through molasses.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk about the cool stuff that was on TV.
Right.
Actually.
We talked about it a bunch. Do you want to get to the Bobby Roode?
Bobby Roode descending from the heavens.
God damn it.
We got to link that on the show notes, I think. Just that entrance.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy crap.
So the Glorious Bomb thing has been huge, right?
Yeah,
Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano doing this,
and
just all over
in
Twitter.
The gym and all that.
That nod though.
The nod. Yeah. So Bobby Roode does the nod during his entrance. It's very subtle.
It's super subtle.
Go back and watch it. It's fantastic. But
he raises his arms, looks at the sky, looks slightly at the camera, and does a quick nod, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's
just
really,
very
really
small.
subtle.
Just a nice callback. But it was great. I was hanging out with a bunch of my wrestling buddies last weekend. And one of them was just walking around doing glorious bombs with everybody. The fact that guy has already made a huge impression.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even it wasn't his meme that he started. He also hadn't had a match. That is just fucking incredible.
The crowd is singing his song.
Yeah. I know Brittany has feelings on the crowd and the song singing.
Your feelings are probably the same, so you can go into it.
It's become a thing that I now find a little more distracting than I thought. I like it during the intro. That makes sense. Same as Zayn, that's cool. When it carries on throughout the match the whole time, it's I don't know. I don't want to be a super Debbie Downer about the whole situation.
I'm watching the match. I'm not here to listen to you sing.
Yeah, at some point it kind of gets a little weird. So.
And I get that it's with soccer fans, because there's a lot of singing during the matches and stuff. But it's not.
Well, they also sing different songs based on what's going on.
Yes.
They don't just sing the one song the whole time.
Right.
Well, they do the same thing with Bayley.
They do the same thing with Bayley, but Bayley's got 5 or 6 different cheers.
Yeah,
she's got the hey, we want some Bayley. She's got
the
ooh, ah. She's got a good variety.
Right. And it's just one.
And they do it once and then they move on.
Yeah.
That's great.
And, hey, give us our one thing. We don't nitpick as much. Brittany and I just don't like this thing. Fucking whatever.
I hate it.
So
Andrada Almas.
Yeah. Let's mention the other person in the match.
Yeah. So I'm kind of so I think this match was great. It was not the strongest on the card. The finish was weird because I wasn't actually sure that was a finish.
It's a terrible move.
It felt like it was a cough and then the match was done.
Yeah.
But Andrada Cien Almas, they don't know what his character name is, or his character at all, because they've given him 2 different names.
Yep.
This guy literally
Cien
has...
and...
Cien, which means 100.
Yeah.
And it's they remind me of that every time. Yeah. He has the pimp hat with the suspenders over his nipples.
Yeah.
He's a good wrestler, and he looked really good against Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Because everyone just came out, they knew Bobby Roode is going to win this thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's he's a good wrestler. He just doesn't know who he is. He's trying to be everybody.
Yeah.
Pick something.
Yeah. It's the Godfather meets, Carlito Cool meets, a lot of different shit. And it's just, gotta figure out
figure it out.
Yeah.
Just dive in, pick something, and go. Don't try and be everything for everyone.
I hate that Bobby Roode's move is the same as fucking Road Dogg. Literally, it's a pump handle slam. Are you fucking kidding me? That's, all we can think of.
Yeah. Well,
his character is so strong, he kind of doesn't need.
He needs a submission or
Who on the roster right now has submission finishers?
A lot of people.
Huh.
On the NXT roster or WWE roster?
NXT roster.
Because
there were a lot of people who had submission finishers on NXT. You had Charlotte, you had Becky, you had Sasha.
You have Aries, you have Joe, you have Asuka, you have there's doesn't what's her name? No, she doesn't.
There's a number of submission, but I feel like there's not so many that you couldn't have a submission.
Correct. Yeah. No.
As your finisher.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, but I mean, you also had the example of, say, Apollo Crews, who had an amazing finisher that he brought up from the Indies, which was like pick the guy up, drop him, do the backstanding moonsault onto him, and then pin.
Yeah.
And then he started doing the whole spin the guy in the air, pop down.
I love that thing too. Like, I love all his moves.
Like, he added a new finisher because Triple H was like, hey, have you ever thought about this? So it's not. I think maybe it's just like an afterthought that they're like, well, fuck, we didn't think about the finish because we've been thinking about the entrance so much.
Yeah, see, that to me, that's why I don't care as much about the finisher. Like, it's like when Heyman talked about the ability...
I'm being an overly critical, boring fan.
Yeah,
so.
like, I want to say, like that Heyman thing on the Stone Cold podcast where we talked about it just comes down to selling.
Yeah.
Like, his character and his charisma and his strength of character are so strong that it kind of it doesn't matter. Like, his fucking finisher could be the leg drop and it'd be fine. He is that charismatic.
Elbow.
Yeah.
Just an elbow.
That would be hilarious if he took the fucking boot and leg drop. Like,
you don't need it, but even if it's one or the other, he could sell it just fine. That's why it's like, cool, whatever. Pump handle slam. We'll see how long it lasts. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like, so let's man.
Match of the night.
Yeah. Match of the night.
Revival versus the do-it-yourself DIY.
You know what?
I kind of like the name.
I kind of like the name.
I'll not make for the name. I just every time I say DIY, I think of do-it-yourself. But I know, it's. Yeah.
I like.
Did you see their shirt?
Yeah.
It says like, "Do it yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you." And I'm like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
They remind me of when you started to see early American Alpha and they were gonna hit it.
Yeah.
That's what that group reminds me of now. They're super polished. They're awesome. They got that underdog love.
And they have the chemistry now.
Yeah. And Revival's already just like immensely awesome and great at what they do.
Tag team.
I don't know how. Like, the Revival is like, where did you come from? Like, where?
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, and you're just amazing tag team from the get go. But we saw this kind of come together and mature and with the DIY and like that was kind of really cool to see.
Fantastic match. Like, they do a really good job of placement of stuff in terms of like, that the ref didn't see this or this other thing. Yeah. Them doing their hijinks, Revival, really good at the heel.
Revival hijinks is awesome.
Yes, super good at that. Such a classic match. I was honestly kind of surprised.
So many false finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that DIY was going to find a way.
I thought they were too.
So did I. I didn't care. Like, I didn't care.
But the match still did great. It just made me think, cool, this is going to be, at the next TakeOver.
Yeah, like, this is going to happen again. You can't not book this again.
Yeah.
And then when Revival dropped the belts, like, they're probably going to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, the tag division is really sort of weak on SmackDown.
But they've been the top of the game so long now, ish, at NXT.
And if you have them kind of follow up with American Alpha, you can pick that storyline right back up.
Oh, yeah.
And then have,
oh, my God.
And then have DIY just kind of carry it, because those guys are strong. Yeah. Like, you could leave the tag team division with them.
I want a reason to have to watch SmackDown. Not like to be able to watch one highlight of SmackDown.
It's really shitty that you have people like AJ Styles and American Alpha on SmackDown, and still there's no reason to watch SmackDown.
Well, because you know that the one or two like WWE curated clips will be all you need.
Yep.
So. Asuka versus Bayley, the sunset match of Bayley's NXT time.
Yep.
I don't. Do you think it is?
She.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, actually, no.
Last week we talked about Raw, dude. Like,
yeah. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if she does one more match on NXT. Even I think she will.
Yeah. Sasha did a couple more matches. Charlotte did a lot
to put over Ember Moon.
Maybe I could see that, but at the same time, like, this was now her second pay-per-view match where they gave her the farewell. Like, how many farewell tours do you need? We all love Bayley.
Also, it allows her to have the pinnacle of her career in Brooklyn,
the
last match in NXT in Brooklyn, and her Raw debut in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to keep it going, then it kind of hurts that sub-storyline that they've sort of created accidentally, or probably intentionally, let's be real. Mm-hmm. But I thought this match was great.
Yeah.
I loved the entrances. Especially Asuka's, her gear is crazy.
Yes.
Like
the robe and the giant the tarp.
Yeah, that was dope.
The mask.
She's fully reached her, like...
She gets the lines on her face match her mask.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and it connects the, like, mysterious character to the person a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that after we had Cole Crazy on the podcast, like him coming out in the mask, and it's like, you don't know who this person is, and they could be really fucking scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, like, Asuka is terrifying.
Yeah.
She's fully reached her observable, like, confidence too.
Yes, she has.
You can you feel it with
her talking.
Yeah.
In the, I mean, like, I've always said, like...
Her comfort level is high now.
Yeah, her comfort level as far as body language has always been really good, but, like, now in the face.
You
can
read
face, like, you can read it.
Yeah.
And that's really important. But I thought it was...
It's known as oozing machismo. No.
Yeah. I forgot who I was talking to, but it was... this was more about selling that Bayley... Not that Bayley would win, but that Bayley... Like, having that fearlessness and kind of more like... She was going after Asuka. Like,
There
was no trepidation. There was no trying to outsmart. It was like, no. She was like, fucking hit me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah! Like, I got pumped. Like,
so during this match, and pretty much every other one on the roster, I didn't know how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy knowing that Bayley's going to lose this. You always go out on your back. But the way that match was going, Bayley could have won it, and I wouldn't have been surprised. And I'm like, she's in Brooklyn. She could be undefeated in Brooklyn. Like, this could be a thing. Like, she lost. Totally wasn't expecting it. Even with everything else. It was awesome.
Yep.
Then Samoa Joe versus Nakamura.
Fuck.
All right. I had actual goosebumps during the Nakamura entrance.
With the violin.
The violin
Very
guy.
simple,
that was super
classy.
cool. Yeah, and like,
the framing.
Oh,
so
yeah,
Nakamura was just in the corner.
3 or 4 times, like...
But the focus was still on the violin.
Yeah.
The 3 or 4 times, like, in every, I don't know, generation or whatever, where they decide to do the live music thing, it's always, like, super kind of cool in a way. Sometimes it could be shitty, right?
Like
but this one was well done.
Like, the original, like, Shawn Michaels DX entrance against Stone Cold was fucking really cool.
Yeah.
Like, the
Cult of
Bray
Personality
Wyatt.
with...
Cult of Personality.
Yeah, CM Punk with the Living Color, that was cool.
Yeah.
Sasha.
Mm-hmm. Sasha
with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like when it's done well, it's like
it highlights the moment how big it is, right?
Also, how awesome does that violinist feel right now?
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Well, he got the Triple H lighting effect on him.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. It was great. Like, he did the little solo and then he played with the track and it was all great the entire time.
Yeah.
And you just played like fucking Barclays Center solo. No big deal.
That was pretty rad.
Yeah, it felt like a different match. It didn't feel like a Shinsuke match. It felt like a different match.
It did feel very different.
The melding of Joe and him, like, that was like an interesting mix.
Yeah. It
You know?
wasn't like, honestly, it wasn't Shinsuke's best match. Like, he's much better with a faster paced opponent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe's all about methodical, slow pace. Like
in those
this
matches
match felt very slow.
Yeah, and these matches it does feel like he just gets his ass beat more, like kind of like when we saw them here and like he put the Drifter over for 20 minutes before nailing all his moves and winning. It's like, okay, Joe's beating the fuck out of him for a while and then he gonna hit his moves.
I just realized we haven't seen the Drifter on TV in a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Joe dislocates his jaw.
From the first knee, the Shinsaska?
The Shalashaska.
The
running knee.
Shimmy.
Yeah.
Joe dislocates his jaw.
Yeah.
So injury count is now 4.
Yes.
Jesus,
4.
Who knows?
If we count Biggie's balls, maybe 5. Like, I don't know.
But that would be 6.
True. But yeah, no, this match was good. I kind of had a feeling Nakamura was going to win it.
Yeah.
Like, the dude's been undefeated. The problem is now we have
Joe's had a long title reign.
I was actually surprised. I thought it was...
Has he? It hasn't been that long. He's been fighting for the title for a long time.
When was the show we went to?
May?
Okay. And he had the belt before then.
Yeah, but he got it after Dallas, which was early April.
Yeah,
so 3 months?
3 months. That's it.
That's not a lot.
That's not a long time. Like, Sami Zayn had it for like 2.
Yeah, so that was the reason why I was like, it seems really short.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Like, I did not expect Joe to retain, but I didn't think it was a clear shot that Nakamura was going to win.
Yeah.
Although Nakamura is undefeated, Asuka's undefeated. Mm-hmm. Now you suddenly have a problem where you have multiple champions who are undefeated.
Yeah.
You are going to have someone very, very strong come in to disrupt that narrative.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it could be Bobby Roode.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's start
Joe.
listing who do you think it'll be.
So here, this is the problem, is that on one side of the fence with Asuka, you don't have a strong heel, because Nia Jax is gone.
Nia Jax is gone. We don't know if Ember Moon is heel or face yet.
I think she, well, who knows?
I think Billie Kay's a heel.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's not.
It's a weak heel.
It's a really
She's a
weak heel.
She's a heel in the way that a Bella is a heel.
Yeah. On the other side of the fence with Nakamura, like you have a lot of great heels.
Bobby Roode,
Austin
Aries.
Yeah.
The Drifter.
But I mean, like, do you want one of those heels to knock the undefeated streak? You know what I mean? Like, does it mean more to have a face, do it? I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
There's no hard and set rule saying you have to have
there's
a face
not.
and a heel. Like, you could have two faces.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
I just don't know who
does it if not Joe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and Joe could win it on the next one. He's a heel. He could play just like some heel tactics cheat.
There's a lot of ways to do that. Seems like totally in the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be kind of cooler as a way to, get somebody
else
over.
up.
I just don't think that person is built up enough yet.
Yeah.
So I think like they have another rematch, Joe and him, and meanwhile you simmer up, Bobby Roode or somebody else to get to the point where they seem like they could mount that challenge.
Yeah, right now the face scene for NXT is not super strong. It's
very
weak. It's pretty characterized.
Yeah.
Like you have No Way Jose.
Yeah.
You have.
Is CN a face?
Yeah, he's a face.
Okay, I don't know because he's everything.
He doesn't have a character.
He doesn't really have a character. He has all the characters.
I think Bobby Roode versus Nakamura would be really cool in terms of like this is like the charisma like match of champions, right?
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, and just that alone would be cool.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do that immediately.
Yeah.
I think you got to build towards that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting though. I mean, the shows are all still high quality. One thing we worried about after like mass promotions was how are things going to go. And I'd say things are still going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like NXT, they've clearly developed it as its own brand.
Yeah.
But they still have developmental side of it.
Yeah.
I think the women's division, there's a big gap between upper card and lower card, Asuka and everyone else.
Yeah.
Ember Moon could be here to help us with that.
Yeah.
Billie Kay is a wrestler that will become better by wrestling better wrestlers.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which means either she'll get moved up sooner than she needs to, which as, Dana Brooke got moved up fast, but I think that's helped her ultimately. Or who else? Who's in the back? Like
There'll be more.
They've signed a lot of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest one of the other big problems is really character development.
Yeah.
The women was top heavy for a while too.
Oh yeah,
super
for sure.
top heavy.
So now they're, top light, I guess,
Yeah.
would be the alternative to that. So, like, it gives room to these people who need to develop those characters. It just means, like, Billie Kay, we've seen her wrestle 3 different times and 3 different gimmicks over the last year. Like, I recognize her in with different names and stuff, too.
Yeah.
So they're still figuring her out.
She's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with wrestling, and we see this a lot with the people get injured in the main roster too, is when there's a spot, people have to step up, and someone's going to fill it.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's there. Triple H is putting the platter out, like, all right, who wants to take on Asuka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Yeah.
We're good.
But on the men's side, like the character development's like kind of a really big problem. Like No Way Jose, like I'm really excited for No Way Jose because I'm like I feel like he's breaking off from just the silly character.
He's
to,
dynamic.
He's showing his range, which I'm like.
I thought he was just going to be another Fandango.
Yeah,
and
so
turns
did I.
out he's actually like has emotion and passion behind the dancing.
They're gonna. I feel like the way they're going with him is kind of like in that underdoggy kind of sort of sense, or Sami Zayn-esque in a way. Like he's got the
a
juice.
silly Sami Zayn.
Yeah, where's Ty hurt?
Ty Dillinger?
Yeah.
Haven't seen him in a while.
But we haven't seen him in a while, and he lost a bunch of matches. He was basically became the Tyler Breeze of NXT.
Yeah.
Where he got top booking but was losing all the time.
Yeah.
But he's great.
No, he's awesome.
He's really great, and I would love to see them do more with him. Like I just kind of feel like they're not doing a whole lot with their character development other than the heels, which are just it's too easy to do. Like it's harder to write faces.
It is.
And like
it's harder to be a convincing face.
Yeah, because you have to be relatable. You have to fit within this little structure, and it's hard to write in a box. So,
Anyway, yeah, Brooklyn was better than SummerSlam again.
Fuck yeah, it was.
I don't think it was better than last year's Brooklyn, but
No.
that one had a lot of history going into it.
Well,
that
it had
one
the history, and also like all of them are at the top of the game, and they all were about to be promoted or were already promoted.
Right.
So it was like super all-star.
Kevin Owens
edition.
was already on the roster. The Charlotte and all of them women had just gotten moved up.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole storyline with Bayley being related to that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking they got Liger and
Yeah.
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
And this was the first takeover not at Full Sail.
Yeah.
So this had like so many things going for it that I just expected Brooklyn to not be good this year. And I don't know why I would think that, because this is NXT.
Yeah.
And hands down, it's just been consistently good.
This show to me proved that, with the DIY match and the other stuff, that like they have reloaded just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's NXT.
They will be just fine.
Yeah. Our
Yeah.
concern that maybe they'd have like a huge dip is gone. Like maybe a small little minor dip.
There are things that they need to work on, but like it's not so much that it's like, fuck, this is like worse than SmackDown. Like it's definitely
No.
like
SmackDown is still third on the list.
So that'll about wrap it up for this week. If you guys like the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at OnTheHeelsWP and Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP. We're on iTunes, so download past episodes, subscribe to future episodes.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, I can talk. I'm good at it.
So please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment on the iTunes store, give us a 5-star rating so more people can find us, and of course tell your wrestling buddies about the podcast. Feel free to tweet or message us random wrestling stuff or corrections, as we tried to figure out how many people had submissions. Maybe, the wrestling nerds know better than we did.
They probably all do.
Yeah.
I
don't
say that
actually
as
know
if
what I'm
we're not
talking
wrestling nerds, like we're a fucking podcast.
We just have a podcast, so we're louder.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, send us comments. We love interacting with everybody, and we will respond and share.
Thank you for listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. As a reminder, there will not be an episode next week because we all got laid off and we need to figure out a new studio situation and probably all find jobs because I like eating. So tune back in on September 16th when we will return. And then, once we return, we'll ask ourselves the eternal question. What was it?
It's funny because you're like, I want to do it, so you wanted to remember.
When will SummerSlam be better than NXT TakeOver again?
It will be the weekend they don't bundle it. When they make TakeOver the next week.
Yeah.
Win by default.
I don't think that'll ever happen either. Like,
No, they kind of have this method now. Same as WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
It's because they can sell ticket packages.
How about, like, non-eternal, just normal question, will it be in Brooklyn 3 years in a row?
Oh, they've already booked it for next year.
Oh, they did?
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
cool. All right,
That's
question
awesome.
answered.
Yeah.
That's why it's not
Yeah,
eternal.
so the answer is never.
Never.
Yeah,
no.
okay, never. At least
Maybe when they go back to LA?
not in our lifetime.
No.
On the Heels Wrestling